Welcome to part 3 of Atlatl's journey. So, like before, when I came back from Motorama, Atlatl just went on the shelf again for many months. But with a few months to go to Motorama, it was time to dust it off and plan out the upgrades for it. So, as stated at the end of my previous video, one of the main things I want to do is worry about the drive. So not only am I going to work on updating the speed controllers that go into here, but I also would like to upgrade this side panel here. So what I've ended up deciding to go for is a side piece of aluminum here, and then the rest of this will stay UHMW on the rest of the side. It's called out for now. Another plan is going to be to upgrade the gear here. I'm going to try ordering this gear as just aluminum cut from Send Cut Send and see what the results are from it and see if they look like they can work with it or not. I believe this gear is module, like a 1.5 module gear, so I think it'll have enough clearance that they'll be able to laser cut it and still make it good. I don't think I had it planned at this point, but what I end up also doing later on is ordering a separate set of pulleys for here. So basically I'm flipping the ratio around. I couldn't just swap these pulleys because the shafts are different sizes for the motor and the flywheel assembly. So what I'm doing is ordering the flip of this so that I can use the same belts. I do this pretty near the end of it, so it coming in the mail was a little sketch. It might not come in time. So I ended up also ordering separately another belt that would match with a different set of pulleys. But the idea being that I wanted to reduce the gear ratio in here so that it will spin up a little easier, just because as it stands it's a little rough on it and I'm not running it anywhere near full speed, so I don't need that extra element on it. So with that, let's jump into Atlatl's repairs and upgrades. So I expected to find, broken gear pieces in Atlatl, but I didn't expect to find as many loose screws as I did, or spacer rings, which I normally use to balance out the side armor, floating around inside of it. I don't even know when that got in there. So far what's been repaired is there was a clipped wire here. Basically the wire got pinched between this piece of metal and the top plate. I replaced the broken chain tensioner. So the next step is an easy one. It's just replacing these panels. These ones are aluminum. They're going to be replaced with steel because, they just get bent from blasting around. All it does is retain the driven drive shaft. So it's just got to keep the sideways movement of the robot, like that impacts on here. So it's not a lot of force. But I mean, 1/16 aluminum is clearly showing its wear on it. And so there's 4 of these to replace. And that's not a big deal. I got the steel ones here. Pop them on now. Well, at least the outside one's on now. I might have to take these panels off to get to, especially this one. But they need to come off anyways. So during the rumble, I think it was Roger Lord Mortimer, he managed to nick me right here. That was the same hit that likely damaged this pulley that's been, replaced now. So the annoying thing about this is it just catches right there where the impact was. So I'm gonna just grind it down a little bit, slide it out, and get a new bolt. I think it's actually bent a little bit too where it threaded in. It looks like it is, but either way, it doesn't matter. Bolt's garbage at this point. Yep, a very quick grind got rid of that, and let's see if you can see. Yeah, the bolt is bent. So this is, I believe, supposed to be a grade 5 bolt, which is nothing special. Wait a minute, I can see on the back of this, right? 3 ticks is grade 5. Yeah, so not the most expensive bolt anyway. But yeah, a good hit on me. And also, I got some scuffs and whatnot over. I'm just going to hit these down too with an angle grinder. The other side has got another nasty bit on it, just so I don't scuff my fingers on it, because, yeah. So I'm adding the new side panels onto Atlatl's for the drive system. So we get, this was 1/4 inch UHMW before, it's now 1/4 inch aluminum. And there's a bracket down here that was 1/16 inch aluminum, similar to this, which mounts in there. It is now 1/4 inch aluminum as well. So this wheel should not go anywhere. The problem I was having, right, is that on impacts, like Atlatl's back getting slammed into the wall, the wheels would be a leverage point here, push this, and it would push this into here, which would, do a little scuff in there, and the chain would pop off. So the solution has been to make this a lot more rigid, and so it's a lot harder to do it. It will have to, shift multiple points of 1/4 inch aluminum now, as opposed to just bend 1/4 inch UHMW and 1/16 inch aluminum. So hopefully this incredibly stronger solution prevents the chain from popping off. So I have these new side panels in here done. They're fully attached in. We got some extra voltage in here to hold it in. And yeah, we got extra attachments here. That only attaches to the back plate, which is why there's this extra piece here, just to keep it a little bit more. The final stage is going to be to cut these along this line, this line, to slap them in. So we'll still be plastic along here. And just so you get an idea, see if it'll show up on camera nicely. Yeah, like it bent up the actual, amusingly, the distance difference that is between these pieces here. But you can see here, like it really curves up at this point. There will be more shock put into the gearboxes as a result. We'll see if those fail or not. But the alternative of having the chain fall off all the time is also terrible. So yeah, gonna try this is see if it's I believe it's gonna be the lesser of two evils. And a minor annoying thing. Yeah, this will need to be taken apart and serviced. The other gearbox isn't doing it, thankfully, so it's okay still. I decided on a little experiment with Send Cut Send. I had them laser out. These are different versions of the winch gear, and this is just the clutch gear for the whole winching mechanism, but I don't think I'm actually going to use it. I just wanted to have a second sample point. So basically I had them cut it in 16th inch and 1/4 inch aluminum. Just laser it out, see what it looks like, and the 16th inch came in very nicely. The 1/4 inch came in what I would say is probably like a workable state. So it's like, let's see, focus. There we go. You might be able to see it's kind of rough. Like clearly this bottom side here, it's got like lots of burrs on it. The top side feels a lot better. When I try to like push them into each other, they don't engage super nicely. Like when I try to roll them, if they're close to each other, they kind of bind every once in a while. So my hope is that I can just take a little file and file this down a little bit. These are, I believe, Mod 2 gears. And so basically the idea is just going to be, I tried test fitting them. I think I may have, like the whole size here, just, this doesn't seem to fit over it with the current is, like might just be that there's some weird burrs I need to go off. This did actually pop on the shaft, which is really good because I just need to basically secure it to it. And I'll use this in place of the PLA gear I have been using, and hopefully this gear will definitely not explode. Hopefully it doesn't just cause a different part of the system to explode instead. And yeah, so I'm just going to clean up this gear and hopefully it'll pop it on and see if it'll mesh nicely, and hopefully it does. We'll help it, but that's the plan. So anyways, I'm going to go get a file and clean this up. I've got the aluminum gear in place. But yeah, I've been doing several tests and it seems to work. So yeah, so like sometimes it hitches a little bit right when it's pulling in. I think that was just an existing issue. With the vehicle moving around at the same time, it'll help bobble it around so it doesn't actually catch as easily. But yeah, if I push the fire button, like you can see it disengages the gear there, as it should. Oops. This rope is getting caught a lot more often. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, that's why. This is bound up here. I need to loosen that a tiny bit. But yeah, seems to be working, which is great because I just need to basically glue this in place. It should be okay. Hopefully this gear doesn't explode as a result. I might want to increase the fire time. So as you see here, like when I shoot the weapon, like I'm going to simulate shooting it like nothing else is plugged in. So it's just going to be this. This gear pulls out of the way. That's so like, when this fires, this clutch is definitely not engaged. So the microcontroller just says, while the striker is moving forward, by the way, also pull the gear out of the way. But I might want to hold it a little bit more just because maybe what was happening before is that something was jostling the robot, or even the kickback would have gone this way. So something may have bumped it around anyways, caused the gear to come back in, and maybe that's what was causing it to shatter before. But that's just a small coding change. So yeah, it looks like this will work. I just need to hold it in place somehow. Maybe just a bunch of hot glue will hold it or something. Because I want to be able to take it off if I need to. But yeah, this looks to be near complete. I want to use this as my winch gear replacement. And the catch is basically, how am I going to keep this on here? And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the angle grinder to cut a slight groove right on the end here. Oop, you see it on camera? So slight groove, roll it around, and I'm going to put a snap ring on there. And that's my plan. Hopefully it'll restrain it enough, and we'll see how it goes. As we can see here, we got the nice little groove in there. And now, the moment of truth. Yeah, gets on there. It's got a little bit of play because the disc is between 1 and 1.1 mils and the snap ring is half mil. But the important part now, pop this on here. Got enough room for it still. Pop this on here. Bam. Solved. So one of the changes that's getting done for Atlatl for this Motorama event is I'm actually enabling braking. I've had it set to the default level 3 braking, which seems to be a scale of 1 to 8 exponentially. I have flashed 2 of the 3 speed controllers so far. Both of them have actually been working, and it's going okay. Yeah, so hopefully we will see a noticeable difference and not some kind of catastrophic event. I have a feeling, based on just watching these run with just the gearbox on, that the braking will still be a little light, but it's at least better than nothing. And I'm a little hesitant to like crank things to the max right away, but we'll see. I wouldn't want to blow these up because I only have 1 spare, but this will probably be the last time I end up actually running Simon K, just because, you know, this stuff's old now and more modern stuff works a little better. So we're 9 days away from leaving from Moto. Atlatl has had all of its work seemingly done. It's not been turned on since its rumble, outside of a minor bit where I tested the winch out. So let's see if it explodes while turning on. Good so far. Fire. Check so the wheels work as expected. Good. We're going to try the firing mechanism here. That works. And then the winch. I'm being gentle just because it's already wound up. It's actually wound backwards, so I'm going to wound it properly right now because my kid was playing with it. There we go. That seems to be okay. Alrighty, let's see here. Let's watch it go. So yeah, controls a lot better than it used to. As you see, it still has a good chunk of like momentum going on from like the braking not being super aggressive, but this is way more manageable than it used to be. That little clicking is just the chain switching tension. So this should be okay to do the test. I need to put the flywheel in, close the lid. Hopefully all these improvements help it actually win a match without my opponent being crippled at the beginning.
Yep.
So I just took Atlatl out for its test drive. Weapon worked okay, drive was okay, and then yeah, that needs to be fixed now. So I got it down to the pinion, and yeah, it just pulled right out. So, dunzo. I don't know if that means the shaft is also ruined. I think I have spare shafts anyways. I'll take a quick peek at it and see. So I found a spare pinion and a spare shaft to go with this. So I'm going to be replacing them. And I also found that this was actually, I printed, I believe, for the first iteration of Atlatl. This would have been printed in the library, actually, because I didn't have a 3D printer yet. And yeah, there's actually cracks in it now. So, as you know, considering that this part was, what, 2019, lasted quite a long time. And it'd probably still work. It's just, you know, it'll fail soon. Well, this is a shame. I only noticed one of the grub screws in there. And so I just burst the other thing through the motor housing. Whoops. Well, this motor is a extra backup-y motor now. And I also just noticed that the shaft I was going to put on was used. It doesn't even look like it's damaged, but still. Maybe it's for the best I kind of goofed this motor. This will be the backup of the backup now. But I do have one full intact spare motor, so I'm just going to toss one of the pinions onto it and put it back together. So it's Sunday afternoon before the competition, and boom! The pulley just arrived. So I can change my gear ratio for the flywheel from 0.66 to a ratio of 1.5. So that means that basically instead of running the throttle around 40% or something, I can just crank that to like 80% throttle and everything can run easier and faster. And that'll be great. It'll hopefully be less load on the system, because I notice when it's spinning up, like I hear it, like you almost feel it fail for a moment, like go like you hear it like stall for a moment or something. Hopefully this will prevent that from happening. Plus I get to reuse my old belts. But yeah, this is pretty nice. I was hopeful this would come in time, and it did. So I spun another pinion test driving Atlatl around trying to tune its driving. It was fortunately the other drive system, so I just swapped in the one I repaired already into it, and hopefully they're good for the event. But got to make the backup just in case. And one thing that was amusing is this here is a piece of the first robot I ever built, well, first combat robot I ever built, and it's now going to help press out the pinion. All right, the shaft came out, or the pinion came out easily. I've got my shaft here. I'm actually going to put a little chamfer on here because I have the hardest time getting these pinions on here with these shafts. I have no problem when doing it to like a 775 or whatever, but when it comes to these brushless motors, I'm not having it. And I'm guessing the difference is the fact that there's a little chamfer on the brushless that help it ease in initially. So I'm going to do the low quality, put it in the drill press and hit it with the angle grinder right on the edge just for a little tiny bit, and hope that works out. It's Wednesday night before the competition, and basically Atlatl's point from the previous event, was dull dual flatness. It's not like it was that well designed anyway. So my idea I had was I was going to buy bolt and grind it down into a point, and then basically just chop off the very tip of Atlatl's spear and just insert this in its place, and then have it poke through the hole, and then just have like, a nut wash or whatever, stop it from going through, and then just back it up so that it, presses right against the back of the spear, but the rubber part of it. So I bought two lengths, 1 inch and 1¼ inch. And unfortunately, since I got it at Home Depot, they aren't both 3/8 of an inch. And that's a problem because this head won't fit in my chuck, which is what I need to do to spin it around to make the point, because I don't have a lathe yet. So I'm gonna have to go to Home Depot tomorrow and give it a shot. But I still did one of them just to check if it would work, and it looks like it will. Time to go modify the head so that this could fit in, or the arrowhead, so that this could fit into it, and yeah, get the right bolts next time and tomorrow, and grind these down and just replace them with this. So that basically the idea is that this is just long enough that it won't need any backing to space it out. So that's the idea here. Just too bad that it can't be done tonight. Not that you should be buying combat robot bolts at Home Depot, but always double check the size if you do. Atlatl's ready to go now for Motorama 2024. The upgrades include mainly a reworking of the drive pod. So this used to be plastic here. It's been cut out and replaced with aluminum. The support for the back end of this gearbox over here has been replaced from 16th inch aluminum to 1/4 inch aluminum. These side panels here were aluminum before, they become steel. The retracting winch gear has been changed to aluminum from PLA. And a nice little cute pointy bit has been added to the front here. And the software has been tuned. So both Atlatl and actually Homer have had their drive software done. Atlatl specifically has had braking added to the ECU, just a little bit of it. I keep spinning pinions, so I don't want to have things be too aggressive. Plus, it's new to this. I don't only have one spare ECU, so can't be too aggressive with the changes. But the stick mixing is changed to allow for greater control. I've extended my software such that I can choose how much it reduces the effective sticks for turning or increases it based on how far the stick is moved forward or backwards as well. So basically I can make it turn sharper or less shallow when I'm going fast, and then change its rotation speed when going slow, which actually these two have inverted styles. This one has its turning reduced when going full speed, going full forward, and this one actually has its turning reduced when stationary because it can spin too fast on the spot. Whereas this one I can control at full speed when it's spinning on the spot. It's just that having greater control of the arcing was what I was going for with that, to make it like a little bit wider of an arc than like pivoting basically on one wheel, where the stick goes. Atlatl has also had the pulleys changed on it. The flywheel used to spin at 2 to 3, so the flywheel is spinning 1.5 times the speed of the motor, and now it's a 3 to 2, so now the motor spins at 1.5 times speed, the flywheel. This is because I was only running this around 33% throttle, and now as a result I can run it at 75% throttle and get the same total actual speed, but like the gearing is such that it's just easier on the whole system. So Atlatl's goal for this event really is to just hopefully win a match in which the opponent is not broken before we enter. One downside of this is due to the alignment issues of going with this like rigid aluminum plate, it kind of pulled things a little bit, just like slight differences in measurements between what was and whatever. It's pulled this out. I can't get the bolt in there without really like forcing the frame over. So it's running with 2 less bolts. It's bolted at the bottom, but there is an extra number 10 that goes in at the side there. And like I say, the gearbox stuff is a little thicker, so hopefully that balances out and is okay. But we'll see. Hopefully for once we don't eject chains. So here we are at Motorama 2024. All the stuff is unpacked and ready for what is hopefully going to be a good couple of days. Sportsman has gone back to being run as a double elimination, which I don't think I realized until after my first match. Speaking of which, that match is against Alpacalypse. Alpacalypse is the next iteration off of the incredibly successful La Machine. I have no specific strategy plan for this match. I'm mostly just going to try and shoot him as much as I can. I have a hope that at some point he'll pick me up and I'll manage to shoot him while he's lifting me, so let's see if that happens.
It's the 30-pound sportsman weight class fight. Those that have been watching the tournament so far, sportsmen are our less dangerous, spinnerless, or less dangerous spinner class that we use.
Oh no!
Atlatl's projectile is definitely not tethered.
Get back here!
But then again, we've known Atlatl for years, and it's definitely been a safe device.
So yeah, the tether didn't break once in testing this entire year up to Motorama, and then breaks on the first shot in the first fight.
And now, Atlatl is doing what Edna Karen hates the most, and that is people shoving forks into our floors.
My plan is to free him at this point after having my fun, but then he manages to squeak away on his own.
And, hey, that threat gets him out. So, as our tournament progresses, the fork definitely gets damaged, and everyone using their scraping forks definitely doesn't help. So a nice full house fork in the center, which means I know what the arena guys are doing tonight has repaired that panel. But in the meantime, while I've been yapping, Alpaca has been going to town, suplexing Atlatl around. Well, that's an interesting thing doing. Atlatl is nose up against the barrier. We're going to count them down here. 10, 9, 8.
Oh!
And as course as I say that, Alpacalypse being the ever good sportsman they are, never likes to play with their prey. And poor Al's going to be the next victim. Of just getting tossed around for 3 minutes by the performance-enhancing lifting machine with the boy Alpacalypse. Now what's interesting is Atlatl's height has an advantage because the top claws.
So at this point the chain has come off again. I guess those 2 left out bolts in the lid did matter.
The bottom folks do the job for him. I think this match may be a 30-rep day for Apocalypse. They're stuck together, it seems. All right, judges say we pause. Pause has been given. We've upgraded the polo sheen to a crowbar sheen. I love that. Yeah, good luck fixing that, Kyle. 3, 2, 1. Right back to our fight. There's about 22 seconds left to go. So not much longer. Maybe a suplex or two more. A suplex. Anything fancy. Last 10 seconds. Alpaca trying to get one more in. Maybe not. There's the buzzer. This one's going to go to the judges.
Is your lifter broken?
To answer my question at the end there, yes, his lifter also wasn't working. Atlatl loses that match by judge's decision, so it's time to repair the spear, the chains, and do some tests before the next match. And speaking of which, my next opponent is Major Accident. He is another seasoned opponent, but realistically, I don't expect either of our weapons to hurt each other too much, though I imagine if he cuts my tether, he'll be quite pleased with himself. So, with no specific strategy other than try to shoot him as much as possible, let's see how it goes.
3, 2, 1. Now, Atlatl's tether projectile wasn't so tethered in its first fight, and the Axeman has just laid the axe down and pinned Atlatl against the wall. Hoping the Major's gonna be a nice sport and get him off, because we like to see things not happening that way.
So, that went bad really fast. While he attempts to get me off the wall, I actually tried to shoot my spear into the ground a couple times too to help me get out. And fortunately, with enough persistence, I'm eventually free and we can continue playing.
The judges being nice and lax because they want to see the fight continue. There we go. Thank you. Good sportsmanship. There it is. There's the tether projectile. So, yes, is it the most dangerous weapon? Probably not, but it is really cool. We like cool things. That's why I love the sports and weight class. It gives you the opportunity to try things out. 2 minutes remaining. Swing and miss from Atlatl, but that was a really good shot. Actually, now just kind of biding your time. And he dropped the hand. Oh! That projectile is no longer tethered. So a Major Accident has its present.
Well, at this point, the chains have popped off Atlatl again, both our weapons are down, and so I guess we're just going to kind of bump into each other for the rest of the match.
Jackson's not working, either they're just laying low and kind of walking it in, or something may be wrong. This time they're making it go about 45 seconds to be exact. Nice little push and shove there from the Major. Under 30. In the pushing matches, last half of the matches, both weapons have failed. It looks like. The judges are going to have a fun decision on their hands here. Last 10 seconds. Okay, judges, it is in your hands.
Atlatl loses again, is out of the tournament, and finishes tied for 7th. Since the losses were against first and second place, if you squinted really hard, you could maybe see it as third, but probably not. I fix up Atlatl for the Rumble, but I either end up missing it while working on Homer, or it just didn't happen. And so with that, Atlatl has finished its Motorama 2024 run. Atlatl is currently fully repaired, didn't take too much serious damage during the entire tournament. So the point of failures were that the chains popped off. It's just a case of, I guess maybe it did flex in this area due to the lack of a bolt there. Maybe not. Could be constrained a little better just by putting flanges around these chains. I feel like one of the reasons the tether started breaking all of a sudden now, and not during testing, was that now that the gear ratio is better on the flywheel, I might just be running at a little higher speed or something, and when I go to fire, it's just hitting the spear with that much force, that much engagement, all that stuff's going better, and so the tether is being stressed more than it was before. If I remember correctly, the tether actually didn't break right at the knot anymore, it broke a little past it. So yeah, if that's the case, then it's just the limits of what the material I'm using is. So I have no real pile of junk from Motorama, but just for the sake of fun, this is the pile of junk that was created while doing all of the updates on Atlatl before Motorama. So then the question of what's next for Atlatl? Well, technically, Atlatl qualifies for the Robot Combat League Grand Championships that takes place in California alongside RoboGames. But unfortunately, they don't want to let Atlatl compete because it doesn't follow Spark rules. Tethered projectiles are banned on regular base Spark rules. So Atlatl can't compete for that reason because, it would definitely destroy the competition if it had to go there, right? So the question of what's next for Atlatl? Realistically, it might retire at this point. The work needed to make this competitive is significant. The work needed just to make it improve its current faults are not too bad, maybe, but the gains from them are very low at this point. Like, it's just not going to be competitive with its current stance. So for Motorama 2025, I expect to be bringing Homer back again, and also a new 12-pound I'm building. And since this is actually December 31st right now, I've already been working on it. So, a little preview of some of the parts on here. Ooh, what could it be? Anyway, that is to say, Atl's not completely like being tossed out or anything. It's going to sit on the shelf. It's not impossible forever to come back out again. It's just that at this point, it is going to sit on the shelf. At least that's my plan. Who knows? Maybe the 12-pound will not work out and I'll try to emergency bring this instead. But we'll have to see in a couple of months. I'd just like to be clear that I do still plan on building Sportsman in the future. It's probably my favorite class. I expect to build something for Moto 2026. I just need to see what my free time will allow me to build. So whether Atlatl's story ends up being just a trilogy, or if a sequel comes, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, I can say, good night, old pal. Rest easy.